Why hello there, fellow plumbers and crafters. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included Aquatic, Episode 8, Germ Killing and New Refinements. That's getting nice and full. Our flue coral room. Uh-oh. Avalka, you eating lettuce? Just make sure you know where it came from. You're gonna get some cyclospora. We're gonna call you Poopadoop. Does the nature room have a tile limit? Yes, it does. The tile limit is 120. I'm at 96. I could fiddle with that tile limit by doing something like this, where like I shrink it here to be able to grow it elsewhere. But ultimately, you get the bonus by passing through the nature reserve, and there's virtually no way anyone can do anything in this colony without passing through the nature reserve, right? Like, you pass through it every day, multiple times a day. It's just gonna happen. So I could grow the nature reserve, but I don't see a point to that yet, because every single dupe's gonna have that morale bonus. If we checked nature reserve +6, and they probably always have it, because you can't even leave their bedroom without like hitting the nature reserve. All right, so after we finish this little project, you guys want to set up the chlorine room. Okay. So there's a lot of bleach stone here. But I initially set it up to hit bleach stone here. So I'm going to get this bleach stone because we have an airlock for it. But this looks like a much more plentiful amount of bleach stone in the long run. Actually, yeah, let's do it like that. So the current priority is build an oxygen aquarium and chlorine room. Do I have to continually refill the room? No, it's a one and done kind of thing, unless I let the chlorine escape. Very much one and done. So this here, this area is after the liquid lock. And the reason to mention that is the gases that exist here can never mix with the gases that exist here. Also, my breathability will drop a lot, the reading, only because like we're working outside. If I had an exosuit dock, that would be a totally different. So, bleachstone is a sublimiter, and the moment you mine it, it will start outgassing chlorine. So I'm going to want to hit the bleachstone at the start of next cycle. I don't want to do it at the end of this cycle. And I don't want to get this bleachstone, because if I did... actually, I could get that bleachstone through the salt and shift the sand down, I guess. But I could just as easily leave it. Ah, good. Look at that. The starnicles are now supplied. Okay. Now we're going to supply beacons. And I'm going to look for beacon fry, which is the baby version of beacons, to wrangle, just so that they're good for a whole bunch of cycles. And then this section of the map is ready for me to reclaim and use as buildable space. Because if I have my power grid here, I'm probably going off the backbone of my grid with the transformers around here. So freeing this area up means I'm free to build my power infrastructure where I want it. Which was also sort of the point. I'm going to intentionally disconnect so that I can use up the remaining salt water in the lines for irrigation. And then eventually we'll shift back over to pumping it in. Alright! High priority digs for bleachstone. So what we're going to need to do here is sweep it immediately. The game's going to say there's nowhere to put it. That's totally fine. Now that we've queued it up to be swept, we put it in here. And I am going to make this an emergency. It doesn't outgas so quickly that it will, like, I'll lose the opportunity if I wait, but I want as much of it as possible put there as soon as possible before it all outgasses. So Ravex got it all of our bleachstone, and then what I'm going to do is pin it. I want to just, at least for now, keep bleachstone on my tracked resources. And the other thing is we, unless I have to travel into the room, which I don't, we can fill the bleachstone box from the liquid so that we don't even breathe out carbon dioxide. So if I take a look at the gas overlay here, 100% of this chlorine room is chlorine. There is no carbon dioxide from our dupes breathing out. Which means if we open up the germ overlay here, right now there's 10 million germs in this water. 9 million, 8 million, 7 million, 6 million, 5 million, 4 million. Yeah, you can see it's dying pretty quick. And it's going to be germ free in like less than a cycle. And the way this works is dirty water goes into the kill germ loop, and then I close the intake, open the output once it's germ free, goes into the holding tank, which then gets sieved from dirty polluted water to clean water to be put back into the clean water tank, and then eventually this clean water tank will be a feedback loop for the toilet lines and sinks, so that we aren't continually pumping water for our bathrooms. Let me get rid of that emergency. Yeah, and yeah. Water purification is done. We're down to 25,000 food poisoning germs, reaching 0 really quick. All that this needs to work. So the chlorine will kill, and don't ask me how, but it will kill germs as long as there's exposed pipe. So if you just had polluted water sitting in a reservoir, that's not good enough. If it's stagnant and pooled, it won't be killed by the atmosphere. It's the act of it flowing in a circle around the room, that's what kills it. It's getting killed by the water going around the piping. But it is just about at 0 germs. And you can, with like plastic and refined metals, set up germ detectors and automate this fully. And I don't intend to do that. We have some idleness. I caught you again. Okay. Well, let's figure out something for them to do. Printables. Fertilizer and gum palm seeds. Or operating, ranching, doctoring. Pay isn't terrible, but I don't tend to love doctoring as a trait to pick up. Yeah, I'll just do seeds. Or, you know, like, give me fertilizer. In case I ever need it. I probably won't. I could also make it with phosphorite, but whatever. So, if you want to see the second stage of this, you turn off the intake so that new germy water can't come in to the system. You measure to make sure that there are no germs by opening up the germ overlay, and there are no germs in any of this water. It's all completely germ-free. Right? 0 germs. And then you just let it flow out. And this germ-free water will then go through the sieve, becoming clean water. Now, one added thing that this system could use is a means to filter out polluted oxygen that will be generated by the water sieve, but it's like not a big deal. And then at the end of the sieving, you end up with totally potable water. So here we have, it's warmed a little bit. The output temperature, actually, no, it really didn't get all that much warmer. But yeah, this is drinkable, potable water that will eventually feed back to the bathroom loop. So it's a more or less a closed loop unless someone pees on the floor. Big if, because sooner or later someone will pee on the floor. All right, ranching beacons. RCV, I don't think you've done a really good job of that. Where are you wrangling them? You might have been wrangling them here, even though we hit pop max. I'm not really sure, but we really should have get beacons in there. All right, next project. Now that we have a chlorine room, here you go. And I'll put 5 minutes on the clock for that. God, who eats 14 pounds of lettuce in a sitting? Well, actually, Ravak does. I know that already. But why? Alright, so, wait, how aren't you irrigated? Oh, because it's pulling... Yeah, I see. Here, let's do it like this. All right, let's stock RCV and make sure RCV is actually making some progress here on the operation taming. Wait, where'd he go? Taking a look at your... Oh yeah, the next thing you're working on is Wrangle. Is there a pathing issue? No, we can path there. Can the pool overflow? No, the liquid vent will be submerged before that it's possible, but I just don't need to fill it up any farther. Alright, here he comes. Wrangling. Wait. Do the second part too, dude. He's just like, no. I refuse. Well, someone else will, probably. There we go. Thanks, Rayvac. Appreciate it, dude. Alright, this fry now is illuminating. So we open up the light overlay. There's really nowhere this fish can go, which won't hit both of the flue corals. Right? It's gonna illuminate the flue corals. It just will. And now, these two flue corals are producing enough oxygen to oxygenate our 3 dupes with no other inputs. This little setup supplies 3 dupes with oxygen. Not bad. Not bad at all. And it's set to max 2 critters. And, yeah, should be pretty set and forget at this point. There's enough starnacles in there to support. So as long as we have, as long as we provide coquina, which the starnacles don't require a lot of coquina, this is pretty easy to just keep going. Certainly a low-tech solution, but why go for high-tech when low-tech will do? Alright, we do have some idleness. So I think what I want to do is just like... I'm making an effort to sweep up all the stuff here that is hurting our decor. So just continue sweeping to make sure that it's all, like, tidied up. Because in the long run, it's going to be pretty beneficial to us to not have filth everywhere. And I would say building a kitchen seems to be the highest current priority. All right. Now, as far as skills, nobody's skilled enough, or nobody has free skills in order to pick up any cooking abilities, but I'll consider changing that. I'm surprised there weren't more for the crafting room. There's a lot of reason to have a crafting room. Why I say that, if you want us to start processing materials, I would like to do it in a crafting room. So like, there's a lot of projects that will allow for. But it's all good. So current priority, build a kitchen. I'm probably going to need to move the refrigerator. Because I intend for the kitchen just to be here. And as such, the refrigerator is completely in the way. My finger on the scale after the vote? I mean, you know, if you were wondering, hey, why don't you have, like, you know, why aren't you doing anything with the gumwood or something? Like, that's essentially your answer. Food. Let's put the refrigerator over here. I think that's allowed, right? The Great Hall or Banquet Hall doesn't allow industrial machinery, but I don't believe The refrigerator is industrial machinery. No, it is not. It is a refrigerator and a submergible. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is not do all edibles. I don't want lettuce in here. Because we keep fetching, like, random lettuce all around the map. And that's a waste of our time, energy, effort. And we're probably going to need a larger room than this. So what I'll do is I'll put a electric grill here. But, like, we're going to run out of room pretty quickly. I think I can do it vertically in a weird way. Where, like, I'll put an egg cracker here, sticking a pneumatic door there. Because there's nothing to say that you can't have, like, a double-story kitchen. I just had, like, massive flashbacks of, Mind Over Matter. And just to, yeah, it's still a great haul. Poor Rayvax gonna be sad, no more lettuce. Yeah, right? Prophecy, thank you for the resub. And cheers. So I obviously do not have anyone that has the grilling skill yet, but that's something that we can deal with later on. I'm just gonna straight up compost the lettuce because I don't need that. Now, if you're wondering about the miscellaneous room, kitchens require a spice grinder for it to be a proper kitchen. And I was planning on just adding a spice grinder down here so that this is just like a multi-level kitchen. Because, like, why not? And if this design sucks and we don't like it later on, we can always fix it. We can always change it. Not a big deal. Now, in terms of what we can make right now, we could do cooked seafood with the fish fillets we have if someone had the ability to cook. Omelets when we crack eggs. There's barbecue and souffle pancakes, but obviously the menu will change as our, you know, if we change up our ranching or something like that, right? It'll change over time. All right. Oh, it's missing a refrigerator. The other thing is we can have finished food and incomplete food in 2 different spots. So I'm going to have 2 different refrigerators. Realistically, it might be in our best interest to incorporate later on in the design. I'm not going to do it right now, but later on in the design, weight plates and lights. For a lot of things that require duplicate work, having a lit environment is like kind of a big deal. When you multiply that times all the thousands of people that like end up with that work. So here I'm gonna do fish fillets in there and not in here. In not raw eggs in there and raw eggs in here. And then change the consumables to not allow my dupes to eat the fish fillets. And the purpose of that is so that we can cook them later on. And I'll say, like, don't eat the raw meat either. Don't eat raw egg. And that's so that we can process them into better foods later on. Potentially. There we go. We have a kitchen. And the benefit of the kitchen is it adds a benefit to the foods cooked on the electrical or gas range. So it will be even higher quality food. How do we not have a second fry in here already? Sorry, quickly remedying that. Wrangle! Is this dispenser hitting the pool below? Yeah. Yeah, it's in here. And both of these refrigerators are in like energy saving mode. Somehow or another, this one's not even storing any fish. Not sure how that's possible, but sure. And then there's different spices to potentially make. So just to cover before we and the polls up for next project, just to cover, freshener spice requires mealwood seeds, which we really don't have a lot of. If you want to see, I've printed up 2 units of mealwood seed, but that's obviously not like a long-term thing that we could do. And then Rocketeer Spice. So this slows the decomposition of perishable foods. Rocketeer Spice provides a boost to piloting abilities, which we don't need to do for a long time because we don't have pirates, but it requires sucrose and fungal spores, which it's not like we have it either. Waterweed and iron. And iron is, of course, kind of a rarer material for us, but both waterweed and iron is technically farmable, ranchable, etc. Requires brawny spice, which strengthens, and then we have machina spice, which is blossom seed and slime, which we don't really have either. So it's not like there's really any spice for us to grind at the moment. But, you know, sometime down the line, we might want to reconsider that. You know, I just realized if I stick a door here, this will be like room determined. Kind of, yeah, let's do that. It's a miscellaneous room. What could it even be? I mean, it doesn't have a farm station for a greenhouse. And it doesn't have a stable for a ranch, but it doesn't really need to be either of those things. So it doesn't really matter. Imagine eating raw iron icky. I mean, to some degree or another, that's just pink Himalayan salt is like iron plus salt, right? I mentioned this on stream like a while ago, but that's essentially what that is. So, looks like overwhelmingly you guys are saying, hey, crafting room time. Cool. Build a crafting room. So let's think about this for a minute. Big picture here. We have our power infrastructure in this area here. We have what will likely be an exosuit dock here. So this spot here is close to power. And it wouldn't be a terrible spot for a crafting room, I think. It's not super close to the storage, but I wouldn't necessarily want to put it down here. The reason why I don't want to put it down here is if we want to add more like aquaculture, it to me it makes more sense to have it like underneath our colony. Now, in terms of like other considerations, crafting rooms tend to generate a lot of heat. So this is the heat map of the entire planetoid that we have so far. The cold areas are cold, but they're not like sleet wheat biome cold. This is -8. So for me, that's like t-shirt weather. It's a joke, guys, but I don't own a winter coat because I'm weird. And crafting rooms will typically generate a lot of heat. Now, with all the water around us, that it will take a very long time for that heat to start to matter. Which is why maybe it's not a big deal if I build a crafting room here. So that's ultimately what I'm going to do. I think the way this is going to work is I'm going to build a floor here. We only need 4 plants for the nature reserve. Right? The nature reserve requires 4 wild plants. Well, let me show you. Nature reserve requires 4 wild plants. So as long as 1, 2, 3, 4 plants are left alone, this 5th plant doesn't really matter. And this shrinks the total volume of the nature reserve so it could be something else or go somewhere else. So I'm planning on building a crafting room in this area here. And I'm going to want to build the tiles below so that this sand doesn't, like, cause any issues to the reserve. The other thing I want to consider is what I want to do in terms of crafting. So I'm definitely going to want to get exosuits, as that's going to help us, because outside of this liquid lock, it's not really all that... There's tiny pockets of oxygen, but basically it sucks. And then at some point, I'm going to want a liquid lock down here somewhere. And at least for right now, it's also where our carbon dioxide is pooling. So it also sucks. Suck wind. So I'm going to want hazard protection eventually. But I think immediately, I am going to... Well, all right, let's talk about this real quick. So the gumwood that we have here, gumwood can be plant pulverized into liquid latex. And then a vulcanizer can vulcanize that into rubber, which then can make clothing for us. So the first thing I want to research, or the next thing I want to research, is the vulcanizer. And then we'll be able to make swimwear and rubber boots for everyone to negate a lot of the, like, the wet penalties around. And then I'll pivot and go for hazard protection. I think that's probably the right order of operations. And then the other advantage of the vulcanizer is we'll have rubber. And rubber allows us to then make rubber gaskets, which are required for a lot of stuff. So just to show you that, rubber gaskets are required. Oh, seriously, it's not going to tell me what they're built into. They're required to build like a hell of a lot of stuff. I want to raffle off what they were required. Dehydrator, rehydrator, gas meter, high pressure gas vent, liquid meter valve, milking station, mini fridge, drill cone, oxalate refinery, tidal turbines, conveyor meter, steam turbines, aquatic melting station, marine drill, uranium centrifuge, and wall toilet. Some of those things are, of course, like wall toilet is like the spaced out DLC, and uranium centrifuge is spaced out. So some of those things aren't necessarily relevant to us, but obviously the gaskets are going, you know, we're going to need those if we want to ever expand our you know, our tidal power array. Just checking up on the wild clams. Okay, so now we have 2 little fries here. Perfect. Printables. Hiding, doctoring... Doctoring, they all 3 have doctoring. So the reason I don't like doctoring and this is just me being annoying, I guess, is I haven't needed to doctor once in the last 73 cycles. This person, I mean, uncultured, stylish, and germ resistant, they're nice. If there was tidying, research, and something else, I would have honestly considered printing Joshua. But I'm gonna hold my stance on forget doctoring and just not incorporate it. I'm going to lower the priority of the compost so we're not, like, actively trying to compost everything everywhere. Alright, so we have the floor print laid out. And now we're going to excavate areas for it. And some of the initial crafting projects... so as you can see, crafting is not one of the rooms. Like, it's just a area, but the reason to have it all together is if it's all condensed, it's like one unified place that we can then insulate or prevent heat or whatever. We'll see. But we're gonna want to move our rock crusher there. We don't yet have a need for kilns. We're gonna want to put a plant pulverizer there. You know, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff added to that room, and it's probably going to be a multi-level room. So I'm gonna plan for that right off the bat. And then this should actually be mesh tile following our schema. And that's just so that air can easily flow around our colony without much issue. No, I didn't mean for that to be only 3 high. There's a lot of things that are kind of tall. But I'm only going to worry about this level for now. Just knowing that there will be multi-levels is important. And another reason I have it very close to the power grid is so that the it's pretty easy to transform it. So additionally, I'm going to drop a transformer... Sulfur. I'm going to replace the liquid lock tiles so that I'm not like at the mercy of like, oops, sand dropped on you. And then start to add separate path transformers for this area. So we got fire poles, plywood press, and I don't have resin for the plywood press. Now that RCV has, oops, wrong button, improved farming. Improved farming can salvage plant husks, basically a byproduct of farming. And as a result, we have lots of plant husks. Right, 256 units of it. And when you take plant husks and resin, you can press them into plywood. So that's what that's about. And plywood can be used for, like, making, you know, in the kiln or smoking for meats or, you know, there's a bunch of... It's just another alternative, you know, material. So plywood can be burned, it can be turned into ceramic with clay, it can be turned into refined carbon, it can be turned into high quality meals. you know, so on and so forth. I just don't have a lot of resin, so I can crack eggs for resin. That would be one source of resin, but it's not like a sustainable source of resin. You'd be cracking eggs forever. Is that enough water? Yeah. I guess it's submerged. A random blueprint. So the plant pulverizer works is you run it and we'll be pulverizing the gumwood into liquid latex, which means we're going to need a liquid reservoir here to hold the liquid that the plant pulverizer produces. And I fully intend for this pulverizer to just be for gumwood only. It'd be latex only. Because there's different things the plant pulverizer can produce, and I don't really want to set up the plumbing for each potential. Each potential liquid. So as you can see, it could nosh beans and mucin can make brackine. You can make phyto oil if you have slime. You can make latex if you have gumwood. And this is just going to be for a latex loop. Because there's not a lot of, you know, I'm not going to be adding the other stuff. Oh, they're adults now. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included Aquatic, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. I'm not, however, looking for feedback. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow dupes.